Good morning, everybody. We'll be getting started here in just a minute. Just getting this screen set up for us. So we've got one more minute. Give everybody a chance to get on here. I'm Andrea Leonard, and I am the president and founder of the Cancer Exercise Training Institute, coming to you live this morning from Colorado, and sending out a big heartfelt condolence to those who lost their lives in the tragedy yesterday. If you're somewhere else in the world, eventually you'll probably see the headlines, but don't want to start on a somber note. I'm really excited to speak to you about the biggest opportunity in fitness history. So welcome all. I would love to know where you're from. Where in this beautiful world are you? And maybe even what's your reason for being here? Are you a cancer patient, cancer survivor, fitness professional? Obviously, we're going to talk about the biggest opportunity in fitness history. So I assume that you guys are all with me on that career path. So I've been a personal trainer for the last, I think since 1992, and I am a 37-year cancer survivor. My mom is currently battling stage 4 breast cancer. This is her 3rd breast cancer diagnosis. And I lost my father to prostate and bladder and myelodysplastic disease about 6.5 years ago, and on and on and on. And so that is my passion. That is what prompted me to start the Cancer Exercise Training Institute back in 2004. Welcome from Lisbon. Am I pronouncing your name right? Chiara? It looks like a beautiful name, and I'm afraid I am probably botching it up, but welcome and thanks for joining us here today. So I have a question for you guys. This is kind of random, but how long do you think you will live? Have you ever given any thought to that? Do you think, I'm going to live until my 70s, I'm going to live to be 110? Personally, and I don't know why I've come up with this number, I think I'm going to live to be 93. No particular reason, and I would love to live longer, assuming that I am healthy and vibrant and independent and can still do things that bring me joy. So if you guys feel like writing in the chat box, again, how long do you think you will live? Or we can leave it as a rhetorical question, something to think about. And what would make you want to keep living, or maybe say, throw in the towel? And I think a lot of that has to do with, obviously, if you have a spouse or you have a companion, you have family members that keep you going, that give you love, that feed and nourish your soul. But also, what is your quality of life from day to day? I personally don't want to be that person who has to rely on someone else to do everything for me. I think all of us are more than likely very physically active, and to not have the ability to go out and do the things we love may make a difference in your answer. So again, if you guys feel like writing, your projected life expectancy, real curious to see what you would say, but otherwise we'll just let you think about it. Now, this is really interesting because we have a longevity revolution in front of us. Look at this life expectancy. So this is by 2030. And I'm sad to say that, unfortunately, the US is kind of at the low end of the totem pole here, since I'm in the US. But look at the life expectancies South Korea. I mean, we've got over 90 years old, and needless to say, women are outliving men. That's kind of been historically the way things go. But we've got, on average, 78 and up, and going higher and higher and higher every year. So what does that mean? We have people that are living longer. Okay, our parents, our grandparents, hopefully us, but quality of life is key. And that's where we can play a critical role, folks. So this chart, I'm sorry, it's a little bit blurry as I tried to make it larger. Look at the little circle there. So I made that arrow coming down from where we're at about 2021. I almost said 2020, good God. And you see this steep incline going up from like 2010 to 2030. And that is people living 65 or older. So the total number from 1900 to 2050. And we had 40 million in 2000 going up to 70 million by 2030. So this is people 65 and older. Now, 65 isn't that far away for me. So, I'm 1 year away from being a baby boomer. But think about this population, retirees. Not everybody's able to retire at 65 these days because of the cost of living. But the definition of a baby boomer is someone who is born between 1946 and 1965. So that's going to put them at 56 to 74 years old right now. 78 million people, folks. 78 million baby boomers. So forget about Gen Z, millennials, all these other groups. The baby boomers are currently, they have a stronghold on the population. And yes, that is changing. But what we're seeing is that the older population is actually replacing the younger population. It could be any number of things. People are having fewer kids, fertility issues, who knows. By 2030, all boomers will be 65 or older. So, that baby boomer generation, everybody's aging together. I mean, this is just simple math, folks. And I am just trying to point out some numbers here, because if you're like me, I'm very visual. And seeing the numbers, next to feeling things, helps me to really comprehend something, because just hearing things and, it's all floating around out there, I don't absorb it. But look at these numbers. There will be more people over age 55 than children under 15 by 2035. And more people over 55 than people under 25 by 2080. Now, I would be 114, so I don't think I'll be ringing in that new year. But obviously, we're going to see these changes as we age. And by 2030, which isn't that far away, only 38.8% of the global population will be 24 years old or younger. So we're looking at a decrease going down from 41%. That's pretty huge when you look at the world population. And so, as I said a minute ago, this could be explained by decrease in fertility, and the world is just growing older. And I think that there are so many challenges that are being presented. I have a 20 and a 25-year-old, and I know that, they're just like deer in headlight, looking at their future and wondering if they want to have children. All right, so you're asking, well, okay, great, Andrea, we're not on here to hear about a bunch of statistics. What does this mean to us? And again, for those of you who are just jumping on here, I'm Andrea Leonard, president and founder of the Cancer Exercise Training Institute. And I would say, more importantly, I'm a 37-year cancer survivor and almost baby boomer. Would love to hear from you. Where in the world are you? Are you a cancer survivor? Are you a fitness professional? Are you both, like me? So we have a perfect storm, guys. And I've already presented the numbers. So we've got, millions of baby boomers right now, and that number is just going up, up, up. Here's the deal. We know there's a need, okay? We've got people who are getting sick, and I'm going to talk about all the comorbidities. They don't know what to do. You go to the doctor, or they go to the doctor. I'm thinking like parents, right? And the doctor says, yeah, you should exercise, get out there and move. Meanwhile, the doctor probably doesn't know what to tell them to do, what that exercise prescription should be. And so you've got people like my mom's age, who maybe they have cancer, maybe they have heart disease, diabetes, osteoporosis. They have no idea, what does go exercise mean? And so, maybe you have people who are self-motivating and they're like, okay, I'm going to run a 5K, or I'm going to go hike Mount Kilimanjaro, whatever. Maybe they do too much. Maybe they hurt themselves, and then that sets them back even further, and then they don't want to do anything. Maybe they're recovering from cancer surgery, and they've already been to physical therapy, and it's been very painful, and they think they associate that with exercise, leisure time exercise. They think, oh my God, this is going to be awful. I mean, have you guys ever had somebody say, I just don't like exercise? I have. And, that's so foreign to me, because I started working out in 1984, and it's always been a big part of my life. I just want to take a second to say hi to Margaret in New South Wales, Australia, and hello, Rosemarie, teaching silver sneakers, and also a cancer survivor. Thanks for joining us this morning, or joining me and all of us. So getting back to, we know there's a need, right? The majority of the aging population has a desire. They desire to be fit, they desire to be healthy, and they desire to live their best life. Now you could say, okay, so what? So does everybody, from the time we're old enough to understand the aging process. Sure, we all want to be healthy and robust and live our best lives. But I don't know about you guys, when I was in my 20s, the thought of me aging or being debilitated or dying really never crossed my mind, because I just figured, there'd be some new technology to keep me alive longer, to get rid of my wrinkles, to, make me bionic. And I just aged myself. So if you guys remember the bionic woman and the $6 Million Man, that's what I thought I would be. So here I am at 55, and the joints are hurting, and your energy starts to wane. And I, like the rest of this aging population, I got a need and I have a desire. Now, here's the other thing. And I'm fortunate to have the finances that I never had in my 20s or 30s or 40s for that matter. So when I was in my 20s, I sure wasn't thinking, I was exercising, but I wasn't thinking about my joints or, how things could get progressively worse. Not even in my 30s. It wasn't until my 40s really that I was like, ooh, this hurts. This is starting to be a chronic issue. So there is definitely a difference. And I think you guys can probably relate to what I'm saying. As we go through each generation or each decade, our priorities change, and hopefully so do our finances. So what we see with the boomer population, the aging population, is the majority of these people are either semi-retired or fully retired, best case scenario, and they have planned for their future. They have put away money. They have the money. They have the ability to pay for the services that they need. And unfortunately, when most people in their 20s and 30s, that's not the case. The other huge thing, and so why is this a big opportunity? There is a lack of competition, guys. Again, been in the fitness industry since 1992. Actually, I started in 1984, but I didn't become a personal trainer till 92. And, just like everyone else, I was training all the beautiful young people who wanted six packs and ripped abs or six packs, bulging biceps, whatever. And there came a time where that was just boring to me. I mean, I still want to look good, feel good, but feel good is trumping looking good. And I say that kind of cringing because I still want to look good. But feeling good is so important. And I know that if I want to get and keep my clients, that the audience that I need to be approaching or appealing to is going to be this aging population. And let's not forget, they also have the time, because when gyms were open, if you guys worked in a gym or even were a member, think about, say between 10, 11 and 3 o'clock, the gyms were pretty empty because everybody's working. So people who own gyms or trainers are missing this incredible opportunity to fill your space. Now, right now, we're going to talk about virtual space. Obviously, we hope that our gyms and studios and what have you are going to open up again soon. But I think for a while, we're going to be dealing with some virtual training and virtual life. So this was really interesting. And I found these statistics. These numbers don't lie, right? I mean, we're looking at it. Here are the facts that when we are looking at the baby boomer generation, 72% have one or more chronic disease. Now, my father, rest his soul, had pretty much everything here but a walking disability. And he wasn't obese, but when you think of, the definition of obesity, technically is higher than, like, I think 25% body fat. And he's a typical man with the belly. So 72% have one or more chronic disease. 43% have high blood pressure. Now, we know that can be managed with exercise, right? 13% have COPD, breathing, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. I think that's what the acronym is. 16% have diabetes. My dad had type 2 diabetes. And my son has type 1 diabetes, which of course has nothing to do with his diet or exercise. He was a college basketball player. 39% are obese. 39%. I mean, we are looking at this incredibly unhealthy situation. And of this population, 24% have a walking disability. So now we're looking at ambulation. And this is what I started off saying. Now, I'm not saying I want to throw in the towel if I have to use a cane or walker, by no means. But when you can't do the things you love to do, the things that, really add to the quality of your life, I think that's when people give up. When we look at people in retirement homes or senior communities or old age homes, whatever we want to call them, and they're sitting around, playing chess or playing checkers in their wheelchair. And to some people, that's probably great and gives them great joy being with other people. But to me, that's a lonely existence. I want to be physical until I take my last breath, if possible. And I am pretty convinced that I can do so, God willing, by staying active. Now let's put the spin on it and let's bring in the cancer component of this, since that's been my world for a very, very long time. 60% of people who have cancer are 65 or older, period. And 60% of cancer survivors, so I haven't given you that number yet, that magic number, but I'm going to tell you now, 50 million people are cancer survivors more than 5 years out. So 60% of those are over 65 years old. So now, not only do we have this huge population with all of the aforementioned comorbidities, we're adding cancer to the equation. And cancer can strip you of everything, okay? For those of you who are joining me this morning who've personally gone through this, from your hair to your body parts, maybe your job, maybe your spouse, your marriage, your partnership, your finances, your self-confidence, your self-esteem. And I will tell you there's not a day that goes by. I quickly put it out of my mind, but that I don't think about getting cancer again. And then I just go, stop, 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 stop. But, you know, if I lose weight, although I'm excited, I'm like, oh God, I must have cancer. If there's a bump or a lump or a hair out of place, oh my God, I must have cancer. And, you know, we have to change the way people are thinking and take them, especially, you know, this 500 million number of cancer survivors, and retrain their thinking and retrain them physically, so that not only can they live longer, but they live a better quality of life. So let's look at these recent statistics. This is from the American Cancer Society journals, and these are also published in Globocan. So these numbers that I'm giving you are global. Worldwide, an estimated 19.3 million new cancer cases. Now that excludes non-melanoma skin cancer, and almost 10 million cancer deaths. Now, I don't want to focus on that, because what we're focusing on are the new cancer cases. 19.3 million. Oh my God, we are doing something wrong. And I know that there are a lot of environmental factors, and I'm going to talk to you tomorrow, if you join me, about preventing cancer, about oxidative stress, and all of the things that are around us, that we're putting on our skin, that we're breathing in, that we're absorbing, that are changing our DNA, because only 5 to 10% of all cancers are genetic. So that means the other 90 to 95% are from things that are environmental. So here we go again, 50 million cancer survivors worldwide. Now, although I am focusing today on discussing the aging population, let's not forget that people of all ages have cancer. So while we have these staggering numbers of people, you know, who have the need, the desire, the finances, the time, all of that, there are still millions of people that do not fall in that age group who also need our help. I was 18 when I was diagnosed with cancer, obviously not super young like in this picture, but we probably all know someone who knows someone who has a pediatric cancer situation. And I would venture to say we all know somebody who's had cancer. So what is on your bucket list, guys? What do you want to do before you leave this lifetime? Again, feel free to chime in, or we can just have it be rhetorical. I would say most people on their bucket list is traveling, right? I know I have my list of places that I want to go to. I mean, yeah, maybe I'll jump out of a plane. Maybe I will go swimming with dolphins or whatever, but definitely traveling. And in order to travel, you have to be fit. My mother is, oh God, 82 or 83. I'm getting confused. I think she's 82 and a half. And like I said, she's had breast cancer 3 times. And to be honest, she's not in terrible shape. She's totally ambulatory and independent, pretty much can do everything on her own. But when it comes to worldwide travel, she kind of cringes, because the thought of being on a plane for a long time, or having, you know, if you've ever been, let's say, you know, to Italy, you go to the Colosseum, you go to the Vatican, you're, you know, going all over the place. It's exhausting. And if you have chronic pain, and I can vouch for this because I have chronic low back pain, it can be really miserable. So by being able, this could even be another niche market, you know, travel training. You could have groups of people. You could connect with travel agencies or travel agents or social media groups, that, you know, traveling groups, and do classes to help get people ready to travel. And I just thought about this. Talk about a novel idea. So helping people to have the confidence and the strength, the stamina to be able to travel. And like I said, I think that everybody has travel on their bucket list. And I hope I'm not going to have grandkids too soon, but I absolutely look forward to having them. And that's kind of the next phase of life for me. Many people consider this the most positive stage of life. You know, you've raised your children, they've now given you grandchildren. Hopefully they're prospering and they're healthy. Hopefully you're healthy, but you want to be able to enjoy this time. Now, a lot of people are still working. So I think, you know, the retirement age, although it's, you know, technically 65, even Social Security Administration is, you know, hey, if you wait until you're 72 to retire, we'll give you this much more money. Or, you know, there's incentives for people to continue to work. And a lot of people continue to work because that's part of who they are. And that gives them a sense of purpose, right? So many people want to have a legacy and memories with their children, with their grandchildren. And it's very difficult to do when you can't move. My mother-in-law, who is morbidly obese, and she has COPD, she's on oxygen, and then compound this with COVID. I have to wonder what her quality of life is. And I haven't even brought COVID into the equation until just now, but think about all of these people, elderly or aging, who have not left their house or barely left their house in the last year, and what that does to, their whole desire to get up every day and to continue on. I think it's going to be very interesting to see what the impact is. So the other part, I'm just taking a step back again with cancer, and these are just some of the benefits of moderate exercise. This isn't even high intensity. This isn't 7 days a week for 2 hours. Just basic exercise. We see an increase in strength and endurance, strengthens the cardiovascular system, and this can be damaged by radiation and chemotherapy, and also preventing comorbidities that include future cancers, diabetes, osteoporosis, obviously heart, lung, kidney damage, lymphedema, which is swelling. I'm pointing to my arm, but it could be any extremity or the torso after lymph node removal or radiation. These are all things that can be entirely prevented, or at the very least minimized, with regular exercise. And also depression, which of course is huge when you're diagnosed with cancer and all of the side effects that go along with it. There's a lot of anxiety, and it could be, around the cancer itself. It could be around how you're going to pay for cancer treatment, whether you're going to have a job, all the things that I mentioned previously, whether your spouse is still going to love you, if life is ever going to be the same. 76% of cancer patients have severe fatigue, debilitating fatigue. So we know for a fact that exercise, and I'm not giving you specifics here, folks, so this doesn't just mean everybody should go out and do the same exercise program. It is very mathematical, if you will, in the way that we put together these exercise programs. We have to understand the surgeries they've had and when they've had them and where the incisions are, and if there has been an amputation or an organ removal. Have lymph nodes been removed, or have they been irradiated, and how many? And then, of course, the dates and how much healing has taken place. And then we have to look at their comorbidities. We have to look at their physical assessment. And it's not until we have all of those components that we can safely and effectively put together a comprehensive cancer recovery program. But I'm not going to just sit here and keep reading you all these bullet points, but you can certainly read it on your own and go back and watch this over and over again. We know that exercise is going to have a profound effect on somebody's quality of life as they're going through cancer or in survivorship. Even if they're 5 years out, 10 years out, 20 years out, it's never too late to change. And maybe one of the most important things is that exercise can increase life expectancy. So there have been at least 20 studies, which may not sound like a lot, but particularly people with breast, colorectal, prostate, and ovarian cancer, that suggest that physical activity will lower their risk of recurrence, as well as improve survival compared to groups that are inactive. So that's, it may not be the most compelling, but certainly for anybody who wants to increase their life expectancy and lead a better life, hey, I'm willing to give that a shot, right? I'm reading your thing, Kim, here. I'm going to come back afterwards because it's a long text and I want to give it all of my attention, but I do see the bucket list, so I'm intrigued and I want to come back to that, but I want to keep going with this presentation. So what else, guys, can fitness give seniors, cancer patients, survivors? Health and longevity, okay? Quality of life, quality family time. And I'll tell you, like this pulls on my heartstrings, because when you see a couple, an older couple who has been fortunate enough to not only remain healthy, ambulatory, but to still have their spouse, especially, people who've been married 40, 50, 60 years. I mean, what a gift to be able to have that longevity with your partner. But then we also can see people who are, with their partners of 50, 60 years, and they're sitting in a home because their family doesn't want to or is not able to take care of them. And they just kind of, they lose their drive, they lose their passion. Or if one partner passes away, many times we see the other partner pass within a year because they don't know how to go on without that person. So helping people with their health, their longevity, their quality of life, quality family time. I mean, that's, if you ask me what my number one thing in life is, it is spending time with my family. Without that, I don't know. That's my big motivator. And then, of course, the ability to travel. Lots of things I still want to see. But this list goes on. Productivity. Older people want to feel that they still can contribute, that they're still of value, whether it's painting the house or doing the lawn or planting a garden or knitting, crocheting, cooking. They want to feel productive. Also, maybe not everybody, but sexuality can still be a factor. Don't want to get into that one, but I'm sure people still on whatever level want to have intimacy with their partner, and exercise and feeling good about yourself plays into that at any age. And that exercise and strength can help them optimize all experiences. Maybe it's just being able to continue with their hobbies, and that could be woodworking or knitting, because if you have really bad arthritis, even something like knitting or crocheting or cooking may be off the table. Many people want to continue to work, not necessarily because they have to, but because it gives them purpose, function, energy, and life experiences. So if I haven't convinced you yet, this market needs us, fitness professionals who know what we're doing, who can safely and effectively take them through either an individual exercise program or a class, and keep them from injuring themselves, and help them increase their longevity and quality of life. So what do you think the number one objection to selling fitness programs is? And also, I want to ask you, how has COVID impacted your business? And I think I know the answer to both. So I'm going to start with the number one objection being, I don't have the money, which honestly is a bunch of baloney in most cases, because how many times have you had a client that's like, I don't have the money, but they're wearing Gucci shoes and carrying a Louis Vuitton or a Prada bag, or they're in an Armani suit. And they're like, I don't have the money. People have the money for what they want to have the money for. Now, I'm not talking about everybody, but it's, where are your priorities? And I can be guilty of that too. I might spend $200 on my hair, but go, oh, I'm not going to pay for acupuncture because my health insurance doesn't cover it. So I'm not saying that I'm perfect by any means, but that is probably the number one objection. So if we can show people how we can change their life, how we can give them, okay, great, you've got your Armani, your Gucci, your Louis, but you're in a wheelchair, or you can't go do the things you love. What good is it, right? So there's not just the physical, but there is definitely the psychological components here, and overcoming objections. And I would venture to say that many fitness professionals have either given up their fitness business altogether or are in the process of trying to figure out what the rest of their career is going to look like. And even if all the gyms were to open again today, a lot of this population that I'm talking to you about are not going to go back to gyms. They're scared now, and the fear of COVID is not gone. So virtual training may be with us way into the future. And I'm okay with that. I mean, I do miss the gym, but I also love the ability to just hop on a computer and train anybody anywhere in the world. So this has actually opened up the doors. This has increased your audience tremendously, because now even older people who had no idea how to use Zoom or FaceTime or WhatsApp or whatever have figured out how to do it. I mean, we are on the 1-year anniversary of, when the whole pandemic started. The other thing is that 77% of all discretionary wealth is in this population, this boomer population, and they purchase 45% of all consumer goods. So why are we still appealing to people who want to look bikini ready in the summer? I'm not saying that you should avoid that, not at all. But if you want to prosper, if you want to grow your fitness business and you want to keep those clients, the people who have the time, who have the desire, the need, and can afford you, it's time to broaden your horizons. And this, you've probably seen Dr. I don't know if I'm going to mangle his name, but Euster, 94-year-old world masters flowing champion. And look at these beautiful people who are all like 70s, 80s, 90s. So he says we have confused illness with the process of aging. Think about that. Aging can be healthy. Illness, it doesn't go hand in hand with aging. I mean, a lot of people stop taking care of themselves, and yes, the odds are against you for not having these comorbidities, but it can all be minimized or prevented through exercise. And these 5 people are beautiful examples of just that. I mean, yes, people can still build muscle. They can still be ripped. They can be strong. They can be fit. They can be beautiful at any age. So let's change the paradigm, guys. Let's stop thinking about cancer. I mean, yeah, there's no way to not associate cancer with death, but let's stop focusing on that. Let's stop focusing on the sick person laying in bed dying, or the old person, who is, in the hospital or the senior center or the old age home, and their life pretty much sucks because they can't do anything. Let's change the paradigm. We can do that. Our generation and generations to come can change these numbers. They can change the way the aging process looks. And as far as the fitness industry goes, it's time to reinvent, folks. If you are still just sitting around waiting for your gym to reopen, or, I mean, it's happening, but not quick enough. So you can sit around, or you can think about, how can I make changes now that will affect the rest of my career? So I think Ursa put out these statistics. 35% of gyms and health clubs closed last year, and they're projecting up to 50% to close. Now, what that means is that for a while, things are going to really kind of flatline in the fitness industry unless we reinvent ourselves. But then we're going to have another wave, because gyms will reopen, or there will be new gyms, there will be new studios. So this isn't, the end of the world, but we do have to think about this and plan ahead. Now, these statistics, I think they were put out by Adobe, but there was 42% online growth in 2020. And that's not hard to believe. I'm sure the recycling industry has gone up tremendously too, from all the boxes with deliveries. But we're still seeing continued growth in 2021 of consumer shopping. And virtual fitness training not only can be part of this expenditure, but it is also the next evolution of the fitness industry. So I don't care if you like it or not. If you are not thinking outside the box, then you are not going to survive. So it is time to sink or swim. You decide, and I am willing to throw you that life preserver and help you get the tools and the training, the education, even the business know-how to build your new business. So I hope you will join me and my marketing expert, Greg Hendrickson, throughout this week for our free webinar series. Tomorrow, I will be discussing exercise and cancer prevention. And this includes people who've already had cancer and preventing future cancer incidences. If you want to email me at andrea@thecancerspecialist.com, I will gladly send you a registration link. So I respect your time, and if you have to go now, we are done. But I'm also happy to hang out for a few minutes and see if you guys have any questions that I can answer for you. I'm going to try and get back to the chat box so I can look at what was already here. So I'm reading your text, Kim, and it sounds like you have a plethora of experience all the way around. And thank you for saying that CETI is a great way of adding cancer survivors. I, of course, have had a personal invested interest in working with cancer patients and survivors as long as I can remember. And it's not for everybody. So we're not just talking about cancer here, although that is what I do. We also have the functional aging specialist training. We have the brain health training, Tai Chi. Check out our website at thecancerspecialist.com or ceti.teachable.com and see all of the options that we have from some great partner courses. Don't see any questions, so I guess everybody's busy getting back to work, and I want to thank you again for joining me today and taking this time from your busy schedules. Once again, reach out to me at andrea@thecancerspecialist.com for a registration link, or just to say hey or ask a question. Happy to answer you. Thank you for joining me from all around the world, and I look forward to seeing you hopefully tomorrow for exercise and cancer prevention. Take care, guys.